It's a new year. It's time to try out a new deck. Let's get started with some Classic Constructed. Hi friends, welcome back to Nearly Sane Games. I'm Neil, and this is the Armory Report. This week's Armory event was Classic Constructed, and I got a little confession for you. Ever since Monarch came out, I wanted to play some Prism, and I opened lots of Monarch boxes, and I did not get a Luminaris. I did not get a Footsteps, and I eventually had to order them myself. I think I've opened over 15 boxes with no Luminaris, but I finally did get that. And last night I decided to take Prism for a spin. I was using Dozr's deck. If you're not familiar with Dozr, he does excellent videos about his tank Prism build. And I used his deck that he took to Nationals, and I will link his video in the description below. If you want to learn anything about how I played Prism, that's the channel to go to, and I strongly recommend going there and checking out his insights into playing Prism. With that said, I started this Armory event, and I had not played Prism at all. So, sleeved up, shuffled up, and let's see how it goes. So round one, I was against Chain. This is interesting because I have not played against a Chain since the Seeds ban. So already out of practice and not really knowing entirely what to expect. But it's kind of still Chain, and turn 8, you're in really big trouble if you get there, because he's going to have a lot of cards to come at you with. And I got a lot of awkward things happening there. Don't know how to play the deck, and I had hands that didn't block. So I'm scrambling trying to figure out what to do with this. I did manage to get a double Herald of Protection yellow turn, which was pretty decent. I was getting some spectral shields here and there, but they wouldn't last long. I dropped a Genesis, and that was killed right away. So having a lot of trouble with this. I believe around turn 8, he was still at 11. I was at 2, taking a lot of hits, not really knowing what to do with that. And he had a whole bunch of cards in his banish zone ready to play against me. I was pretty much dead no matter what. He threw a Razor Reflex at me, and I was able to block it because I was able to use a Sink Below and sunk a card and got another Sink Below and was able to block that. And the next one was another Razor Reflex. I was pretty much dead by this point anyway. I'm pretty sure he had probably 3 or 4 other attacks that he was going to send at me. So I didn't have much chance in that regard. But it was a bit of a learning experience for me, and I needed a little bit of time to kind of start to figure out how this Prism thing worked and probably shuffle my deck a little bit better. So round 2 was against a Briar, and I was thinking at this point that it's just going to be a Runeblade Knight. So I threw down an Arclight Sentinel turn 1 and managed to avoid some damage there. I managed to get down a Merciful Retribution and have it stick. And Merciful Retribution is the one that whenever you have an aura pop, that will send 1 arcane damage at your opponent. And that's really powerful to have. And if you see that against Prism, you need to get rid of it because it will cause problems for you later. He dropped another Captain's Call, and I immediately dropped another Arclight Sentinel, which again messes up their turn. They have to attack the Arclight Sentinel, and they lose the attack goes away, so they have no go again. If you have another action point, you can use that, but go again is lost. So Arclight Sentinel was one of my best tools in this matchup. I did not get a lot of cards in Soul. There were maybe 1 or 2 cards that I managed to get in Soul. I was not building up prismatic shields very much. And it was... I think this might have been a little bit of a newer player, not used to playing against Prism. I'm pretty sure he sent 2 Command and Conquers my way, which could have been used to pop my Heralds. And I didn't even have cards in Arsenal, so a lot of those times I would block for 3, take 3, and then just move on. I did use my Sink Belows aggressively to sink cards that did not have blocking values, so I could draw cards that did. He was at 3, I was at 9, and he threw a 6 power attack at me. I blocked, and he lightning pressed it, but I had 3 prismatic shields on the board. So he and the Merciful Retribution. So those popped my shields and ended up killing him. So that wasn't... I think if he had played Briar and destroyed my auras earlier, I think that would have been a very different game. And I think that Runeblade should be very good at doing that and managing those auras. Do not let the auras sit on the field. They're very powerful, and they'll do very bad things if you let them go. Round 3. So round 3, I'm 1-1. In round 3, I go up against IceLexi. And I was completely unprepared for this match. IceLexi was running Heart of Ice, and Heart of Ice has the ability that you pay 1 and on your turn, and everything costs 1 more, which is not very punishing for a lot of classes that are just blocking from hand with attack reaction or attacks. What it is punishing for are people like Prism and Bravo, probably Ninja as well, that depend on a lot of defense reactions, because all your defense reactions cost 1 more. Sink Below costs 1 now. And this was a huge problem for my strategy. I'm running 6 Sink Belows, and they're necessary to, again, get rid of those cards that don't block out of my hand to draw into blocking cards. And this IceLexi was putting on a lot of pressure. I'm getting Frostbite tokens, sometimes a lot of Frostbite tokens. There was one attack that he did that he managed to use the Shock Charmers to pump up the attack a lot, and you can do that. You can use Shock Charmers as many times as you have the resources for. And I think I ended up with 5 Frostbite tokens from that. And after that, he also killed my Merciful Retribution. Another interesting thing is Frostbite tokens are auras. So if you have Merciful Retribution on the floor, if you have Merciful Retribution in play and those Frostbite tokens pop, those count as doing damage. But he did not let any of my auras stay on the field for more than a turn. Was able to get those out of there pretty quickly. And when I was putting down Arclight Sentinel, it was in response to him activating Heart of Ice. So I didn't get any of his pump spells to start out with, and it's just one arrow, pop the Arclight Sentinel, and move to the next turn. I probably could have used my Halo of Illumination better. There was a time that I just dropped down. I had a red pitch, a yellow pitch, and a blue pitch, which is enough to play Arclight Sentinel. But what I probably should have done is pop my Halo, put a card into Soul, that would turn on my Vestige, be able to draw a card, and potentially get another blue or another card that would let me play Arclight cheaper. Plus, I'd have Vestige online, so that would be able to do that. And I'd potentially have another card in hand that I could return fire with. I ended up getting a lot of cards in Soul in this match. Through various means, I had Heralds early on that some of those you just let through. Lexi needs a lot of cards in her hand to keep up the pressure, but with all of these Frostbite tokens and with the Heart of Ice, I was scrambling constantly in this match. And in the end, he had control the entire match. There really wasn't, I really wasn't coming close. He was down to 8, and I was at 2, which he let some attacks go through. He took some damage because I couldn't recover. I didn't have the threats available to me. And he just eventually got there and took me out when I was at 2 life. So my record for this week was 1-2, which was fine. This is a deck that's new to me, and it was interesting to play. I'll probably try it another time and see if I can do a little bit better with it. Next week's Armory event will be Commoner. I will be trying to build a new deck for that, and we'll see how that goes. I need to have something that manages these go wide decks better, manages deals with Dash and the ninjas, and I need a winning strategy for them, and we'll see what I can come up with for that. So until next time, I'm Neil, and this has been the Armory Report.